Let me ask you a question. If $1 million was placed in front of you, would you feel like picking it up? If your dream job, your dream career, your dream opportunity, your dream acceptance into college, listen, your dream wife, spouse, family, your dream home, if that was right within your reach, would you feel like grabbing it? Hello, today I want to talk about some of the motivation behind our faith. Like, what's in it for me? Some whiffle, if you're familiar with that term. I feel oftentimes we hear it or it's taught to us in churches, what you should do and do this and maybe things will be okay for you. It almost has like a fear vibe. But today I want to talk about some of the drive behind it, like some of my desire. I mean, I can see why people would want to be a celebrity or a movie star. I could see why somebody would want a great career. Man, why do I want to have this faith? And I want to talk about that today. This video goes along with another video that's called For Crying Out Loud. And so I deal with that. And today is the motivation behind why someone, in this case, particularly Bartimaeus, would want to cry out loud. Today, we are talking about, I feel like crying. Let's say that again. Listen, I'm enjoying this. I feel like crying. I am in the mood for crying. Listen, I woke up on a crying side of the bed this morning. I feel like doing my faith. I feel like being a Christian. I feel like being a foreigner, as Peter talks about. I feel like being different, man. I feel like pursuing and growing in my faith. Today, I feel like crying. So we see Bartimaeus, the blind Bartimaeus. The Bible tells us in verse 46, and we're in Mark chapter 10. So we know this story. Jesus is walking along. There's a blind beggar, son of Timaeus. He's seated by the roadside. When he hears that Jesus is passing by, Bartimaeus begins to shout. Let's look at what motivated Bartimaeus. Also, let's take note of the fact. Notice how Bartimaeus is being different, how he is acting in a way sort of outside of the norm. What is the Bible telling us about his activity, his mindset, his motivation? What is God telling us by way of Jesus of how this sort of approach can really have miraculous results, can get Jesus involved in your life, to get, as a term you're likely familiar with hearing, his super on your natural. Let's look at it, man. So when he heard that Jesus of Nazareth was passing by, look at this. The Bible says he began to shout and say, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. Listen, his response is packed and fully rich. Let's notice this. You may have heard me teach on this before, but he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth. Bartimaeus heard, it went in. The information that went in, that he processed, was that it was Jesus of Nazareth. And this was a way of referring to people, Dr. Vernon of Cleveland, Jacob of Macedonia, Bishop T.D. Jakes of Dallas. And so you would use a person's name and where they're from to sort of a way of identifying them. So Bartimaeus heard more of a natural name, Jesus the carpenter from Nazareth. The Bible says that he heard this. But let's notice Bartimaeus' response. Bartimaeus did not call him Jesus of Nazareth. I would argue that Bartimaeus' call is reflective of what was going on inside of him, is reflective of his state of mind and his state of being, which is also significant in giving us a picture of how we get what he got in this text. Bartimaeus says, Jesus, son of David. This is a messianic name. This is messianic terminology. This is a shout that is full of faith. Bartimaeus seems to recognize who Jesus is. Bartimaeus says, Jesus, son of David. This is the person that God foretold and talked about and promised when he said, David, your seed will sit on the throne forever. This is like that. This is the seed of Abraham. This is God's plan for a long time now. And Bartimaeus is speaking in this way. And look at what he says about Jesus. The Bible tells us, he says, have mercy on me. Listen, I know it may seem small or simple, but I think Bartimaeus is telling us a whole lot right here. Jesus, the Messiah, the Son of God, the promised one, the anointed one, the one who has been enabled specifically, man. You have a role. Your main role is to bring me back. The Son of Man came not into the world to serve. Excuse me, I don't know what happened there was a bug. But to be served and to give his life as a ransom for many. Bartimaeus seems to have this picture in mind. And so he calls out to Jesus. Okay, and I want to talk about this. All right, look. So listen, when he does this, apparently Bartimaeus' actions don't fit in with the social norm. Apparently, Bartimaeus is doing something he should not be doing. I don't know. Hey, man, you're poor. You know, you're a little balmy. You know, you smell. You're coming to somebody who has a name and a reputation, man. You don't just approach LeBron like this. You don't approach this great teacher. You don't approach this reputable person. I do not know. But what I do know is that the Bible tells us that many sternly ordered him to be quiet. Sternly ordered him. Other translations say they warned him, as if to say, hey, you've breached social contract. This is out of the norm. Listen, what causes Bartimaeus to be this way? Look, the Bible says he shouted even more loudly. And then it says Jesus stood still and said, call him here. Listen, I am telling you that Bartimaeus was in the mood for crying. This word cry means to shout, to cry out, as you may see in the text sometimes. I'm telling you, Bartimaeus was in the mood. He felt like crying. Bartimaeus does this. Why? Let me ask you a question. If $1 million was placed in front of you, would you feel like picking it up? If your dream job, your dream career, your dream opportunity, your dream acceptance into college, listen, your dream wife, spouse, family, your dream home, if that was right within your reach, would you feel like grabbing it? If it was your favorite dessert, favorite meal, favorite hobby, favorite television show, favorite sports activity, favorite superstar playing in your city tonight, would you feel like visiting? Would you feel like eating that dessert? That is what I'm proclaiming to you. I am saying that Bartimaeus had his entire life walk in front of him. And the way that we have been taught and trained to believe in many things that we consider good, I am saying that Bartimaeus apparently has some of that dwelling on the inside of him, that Bartimaeus apparently had some of that perspective. He felt like, or he believed, $1 million was passing him by. He believed everything he needed was passing him by. I am saying that perspective influenced Bartimaeus, and just like you feel like doing the things that you feel like doing, I'm saying Bartimaeus felt like crying. And I'm saying to us that I feel like crying. Notice the society and the social norms like, hey man, that is out of order. And the Bible says Bartimaeus shouted louder. Can you see his faith? Can you see what he is placing his trust in? Can you see that he sees something bigger than what's going on around him? And so it was Jesus and Bartimaeus' faith in him that caused him to feel like crying. And so how is that relevant to you? How do you see him? How do you feel about him? Do you really, really believe that he is everything? Peter said to Jesus one day, lo, we have left everything to follow. Do you really believe? There was a rich man in the Bible who the Bible says he walked away when Jesus asked him to sell all his goods. Do you really believe that he is better than every good thing that you have, given that he is the source of good, that he really is the culmination of all good things? Do you really believe that? And I'm saying Just like I've been taught about what $1 million can do for me and what nice jobs and knowing nice people can do for me. Just like I've been taught and rehearsed that. Maybe somebody helped and taught Bartimaeus. He seemed to know something about Jesus. And he seemed to know, hey, I may be blind, but my mother told me as a child that you would come, and she told me that I might not fit in society. Other people may sternly warn me and order me to be quiet, but she told me that Jehovah preserves the simple. Let me sit down. She told me that you are merciful, that David said that your servant is poor and needy, that David cried, have mercy on me. Excuse me, for you are merciful. And so I am petitioning that Bartimaeus has something else rehearsed within him. And it has something to do with how he felt. How do you feel about him? Listen, that's what this channel is for. Listen, these are some words from my heart. I feel like crying. Why? Man, there's a whole lot in store for me. Again, this is some words from my heart. I hope it was helpful to you today. I hope you saw some clues and some keys into why Bartimaeus was motivated to shout out, to cry out, why he felt like crying, why he felt like reaching out to Jesus. Listen, if you found this helpful, do me a favor, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, subscribe so you continue to get more content. Again, this goes along with for crying out loud. Share the video with a friend. Gonna be some more words coming from my heart. I love you. I'm looking forward to spending more time. Have a great day. Bye.